We have learned from many communications by people living in the afterlife that they're continually coming to us to teach us how to live together in love, peace, and joy. They actively inspire us and guide us to help us live fulfilled lives. In this video, you will hear 7 speakers from the afterlife explaining that the residents of the life after this life are actively working to help us have happy, fulfilled lives and live together in love, peace, and joy. Hello, I'm Dr. R. Craig Hogan, President of the Afterlife Research and Education Institute and Seek Reality Online. I'm the author of 8 books with the evidence you will live on after your body dies. Many speakers living in the afterlife have told us the residents of the afterlife are helping us learn to live together in love, peace, harmony, and happiness. In this video, I present recordings of 7 of these individuals living in the afterlife, telling us they are much more intimately involved in humankind and our lives than we realize. Some of the recordings are from Leslie Flint sessions. Leslie Flint was the most talented direct medium who ever lived. He would sit in a room and people living in the afterlife would speak through an ectoplasmic voice box that formed on his shoulder. You can read about Leslie Flint and the proof his mediumship and recordings are valid in the link in the description below. The first speaker is Samuel Wilberforce. Wilberforce had been a deacon of Westminster and Bishop of Oxford in England. He wrote the history of the American Church and heroes of Hebrew history. In 1854, he opened a theological college at Cuddleston known as Ripon College. Wilberforce transitioned to the next life in 1873. The recording you will hear was made in 1967. Wilberforce says that the earth could be a much happier place in which peace and brotherhood would prevail.
When man realizes the fundamental truths of spiritual things and communication between our world and yours, when he sees the main reason and purpose of our coming, not only just to comfort mankind, but that man should be given the incentive to put his house in order, so that the generations yet to come shall be brought into a world of peace and tranquility, that when they will see the world for what it really is, the training ground of the soul, the developing, as it were, of man himself to a higher being, that the earth is the womb, as it were, of life, and that this great world of earth could be a much happier, much more joyous place in which peace and brotherhood could reign and men could form, as it were, for themselves the beginning of a greater understanding where the spiritual world could intermingle with yours on a level which it should. And then, truly, you could be led and guided and uplifted, and you could become as one with us, and then we could impart to you much that is impossible to give now.
The second speaker is Emma Harding Britton. Harding Britton was an early founder of the spiritualist movement. She came into a Leslie Flint session in 1969, 70 years after her transition from Earth. She explains that they in the afterlife are working to bring humankind together to live in love, peace, and joy. She refers to this method of communication through Leslie Flint as part of their effort.
This method of communication, properly used and applied, can do more for the spreading of truth and the bringing together of mankind and the peace that we all seek upon earth in any other form or method. So therefore, my friends, do not be disheartened, though you sometimes are discredited. Go forward in strength. Know that we are with you, and that which we do is truly greater than ourselves, We are but the servants of a greater power. Go forward and know that we are with you always.
The third communicator was actor Rudolph Valentino. Valentino came through in Leslie Flint sessions several times from 1962 to 1970. Valentino said that the fervent desire of those in spirit to help the world know the vital truth that consciousness is eternal. That knowledge will take away all the fear and turmoil of the world to change humankind into having a spiritual mind and nature while still on earth.
In spite of all the terrible turmoil of your world, man can still find an internal, spiritual peace and an internal spiritual consciousness of the eternal plan, so that each and every soul can feel whatever the material life may bring, whatever conditions they may individually have to live by.
Yes.
They can have that strength, that fortitude, that courage, which only the truth can give them. Once we can unleash in your world this dynamic force, this dynamic vital truth, which is the very essence and basis of life. Once we can unfetter man from the many chains of ignorance that bind him, once we can open his heart and his eyes to these truths in such a way that he will know without any qualms, any doubts that it is so. Whatever the world may offer in the way of unhappiness, whatever the tests that may be set him, he will have that inner strength, that inner realization that all is yet well, though the physical life may be troubled, though the heart may be heavy because of the material conditions under which he may live, yet within himself this inner peace, this inner realization that in all things there is fundamental truth, fundamental good, even when he sees all around darkness. There is the inner light that glows, that gives him the courage and the illumination to persevere, to go on, and to overcome. Whatever he may suffer, whatever he may befall him, yet he will know by this truth, by that which we hope to give, he will have that assurance beyond all shadow of doubt that life is continuous, that life is a living reality, that it is the life of the mind and the spirit that conquers all the outer things, which in themselves are but the shadows. We want to discard from man all the shadows and all the dark places. Give him that courage that only the truth can give, and make it possible for him in consequence to find that peace which will transfer, as it were, while yet in the world of the flesh, transfer him into the realms of the spirit, in mind and in nature, to make man truly a spiritual being while yet in material body. And if we can do that gradually and infiltrate this into all peoples, gradually in all the world, there will come changes, and the entire world will change, and the outlook of man will change, and peace, true peace, will come.
The fourth communicator was a man who said his name was Brother Barnard. No biographical information is available about him. He explains that those on the other side are endeavoring to help people realize that life doesn't end in the death of the body, and people from the afterlife are with us and want to communicate with us. They bring a message of love that will bring peace to the hearts and minds of people on earth.
We are only concerned that people shall use reason, so that by using reason they can come to satisfactory conclusions, though there may be and will be problems, that the essence, the truth of fundamental realization of communication, of the oneness of spirit, of mind, that those who are so-called dead are indeed very much alive and aware and very much around and about and can, under certain conditions, make themselves felt and known and converse. If we can help, as I know we can and we shall, as we've done in the past, untold numbers of souls, to find peace of mind, to find a tranquility in the disturbed world, if we can comfort those who mourn, if we can help those who are sick in mind and in body, if we can give them that faith and that knowledge and that truth that we have, if they can accept it, if only in part, truly we have achieved much. Truly, my friends, we are blessed in our endeavors. Truly, indeed, are we guided and inspired by greater souls. We are but the mouthpiece of others, far removed from earth, great souls who come to inspire, to give their love and their power, to help us to do this work together. I am but one of many souls who am used by others to do this work. I am but the mouthpiece of greater peoples, greater souls, greater individuals who progress far beyond the confines of earth, but whose message of hope, whose message of love, whose power of truth is such that eventually it shall bring a peace to the hearts of men, a peace that passeth all understanding.
The fifth communicator from the afterlife was Queen Alexandra, Queen Consort of Edward VII of England. She came through to say life is much more than it appears on the surface. She says she discovered that the only important thing is to do God's work. She tells us we must focus on harmony among all people.
I have come to the conclusion that we must have an international spirit. We must break down the barriers that stand between peoples and nations. We must remember now that science has brought together all the peoples as if it were that they were under one roof. There's no distance anymore. Man is living almost, you might say, upon each other's doorstep. We can no longer afford to have these barriers that man has built up through centuries of time. We must learn how to live together in peace, realizing the consequences of war, realizing that now there is no escape for anyone, any nation or nations, thinking along their own lines. And yet there are still those in your world who have not learned the lessons of the past. Wars beget wars, hatred begets hatred, intolerance begets intolerance. We must find the solution to these things. We must try to make man everywhere conscious of his inheritance, the inheritance which is by nature his very own, that you are all the children of a living God, and that there are no barriers, that you are all one, irrespective of class or creed or color or language. No longer can one think in the terms of empire. Today you must think in the terms of harmony among all peoples, among all nations. In fact, it seems to me that you must now consider yourself a member of every nation, of every race. No longer can you say that you are this or that you are that. There are no barriers left. Only what man in ignorance and foolishness makes within himself. You have now a great opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to form a new conception of life, a new way of life. I feel sure that this fear that rests so strongly upon nations will give way to something which will be very wonderful.
The sixth communicator was Queen Victoria of England, speaking in 1960, 59 years after her passing. She said that eventually there will be a greater realization of a greater world peace among nations, that they in the afterlife are working toward helping this peace come about.
We are very, very concerned and very interested in all that transpires in your world. That is from the point of view not exactly only of politics, but from the point of view of the good that might yet come. When people begin to know, and realize, and understand more about each other, and all the barriers, as we hope and pray, one day may be broken down, and truly men may live and dwell in peace together. We are all working towards this common end, to the common good. We may not, perhaps, be able to do a great deal, but we do impress and we do inspire wherever it is possible. We try desperately to help in many ways. It's very difficult, but we endeavor to do all that we can. And of course, we have a special concern for this country. That is only natural. But at the same time, we see not just England, but we see the whole world, and we see true brotherhood among nations and people, that they may live and dwell together in peace and tranquility, working to do the will of God while yet on earth. It will come eventually, though it may seem long way off, yet truly I'm sure it must come.
The seventh speaker is Monsignor Robert Hugh Benson, speaking from the afterlife through the mediumship of Anthony Borgia, as reported in the book Life in the World Unseen. Benson says eventually afterlife communication will be commonplace, resulting in wonderful insights into life and the afterlife that will benefit all of humankind.
Neither was it intended that the two worlds, ours and yours, should be as they are now, so far apart in thought and contact. The day will assuredly come when our two worlds will be closely interrelated, when communication between the two will be a commonplace of life, and then the great wealth of resources of the spirit world will be open to the earth world to draw upon for the benefit of the whole human race.
These and many other speakers living in the afterlife come to us to say they are endeavoring to help humankind raise itself out of the turmoil and conflict we are experiencing. They're confident that as this truth that we live on after the body dies becomes common knowledge, and when humankind comes to accept that we can communicate with people in the afterlife, the brilliant minds now living in the afterlife will help us rise up out of the difficulties we're experiencing so we lead happy, fulfilled lives, and all of humankind lives together in love, peace, and joy.